Hi, everyone. We are live, a couple minutes early, but hello. We have the wonderful Mel Doerr in the house tonight.
I don't know how
The,
wonderful, but I'm here.
the Aloha Shirt Psychic. How are you doing, Mel?
I'm good. You mean the Aloha Shirt Psycho? No, I've
Psycho.
been sick all week. I've had a cold or something, some kind of upper respiratory thing going on. It's not COVID. I checked myself for that. It's not. But I was kind of on the skids like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I went back to work today, but if I'm not feeling good tomorrow, I'll stay home. But I
Yeah.
didn't want to miss our show.
Yeah. And with my niece being in kindergarten, trust me, there's stuff. I feel like since school started, I've been sick 2 or 3 times already. So there's definitely a lot of colds going around. And
I've got a cough drop in my mouth. So if everybody you see me chewing on something, it's a Hall's cough drop. Oh, can I say that on? It's a menthol cough drop. How's
there
that?
you go. I think Halls is okay. All right. Well, I want to say hello to everybody in the chat that's joining us. Um, quick housekeeping before we start the questions. Um, if you're new to my channel, please subscribe. I am about just under 200 away from hitting that 5,000 subscriber goal. So I think we'll probably be hitting that really soon, and then I'll do my giveaway for free readings or Reiki sessions. And you're getting close to 17,000 subscribers.
17,000. And when I get 17,000, I'll give away 3 free half-hour sessions. When I get to 20,000, I'm going to give away 3 1-hour sessions
Oh, there you go.
and 3 Aloha shirts. So
Oh, that's cool. Well, I was already telling people, I think once we hit 5,000, I think we're going to have a channel party and, invite other readers if you're able to make it.
absolutely. I'd feel honored.
Yeah. We'll just have a fun time and probably not do questions, but, just kind of unwind and relax. But
Good. Okay, so
you have some
we've been,
questions?
we've been getting this question a lot, and I've answered it a gazillion times, and Kevin, I know you have too. So somebody wants to read on whether the DOJ will exhume Ivana's grave uh, to see if there's documents that was buried with her ashes. I don't see anything buried with her ashes except her ashes. That's number one. Number two, why would he bother to bury stuff in her casket? He didn't even have to worry about that. He just took the stuff with him anyway.
Right.
I mean,
Or got
hello.
rid of it. Yeah.
And he thought he'd never get caught. It was his housekeeper or somebody at Mar-a-Lago that kind of spilled the beans. I 2 or 3 people involved.
Yeah.
So I don't see anything buried with her ashes except her ashes.
Yeah. I've said the same thing. I know other readers have felt that. I feel like what a lot of other people are picking up on, I think the situation of having her buried at the golf course is what's suspicious. And, for tax reasons, I feel like
You're right. My guides tell me the reason it was done is because Trump wouldn't make part of that a cemetery. Because in New Jersey, if he could do that, it's an attempt to avoid paying taxes on the golf course real estate. I think cemetery companies are exempt from payment of property income and sales taxes and real estate taxes for cemeteries. So that's why it was done.
Yeah,
it wasn't done because he was being nice and it's on his property. It had nothing to do with it. So maybe there's some tax. No, there's no tax statements buried there either. His income tax records, it didn't exist. No,
is that where all of his tax records were when
he's going to be indicted. He is going to be indicted by the DOJ.
Oh, yes.
Because a judge ruled that he lied. When he filed a lawsuit, and he knowingly made false statements. So he is going to be indicted for that and other things.
In those emails between I think him and Eastman, January 6th is going to get those. So
that's right. Which brings me to another question that somebody asked.
Yeah.
Will Putin and Trump be in mental hospital by Christmas, maybe gagged in a straitjacket? Wishful thinking, but the answer to that is no.
I agree. I've always kind of felt a mental hospital for Trump, but I feel like that's going to be into next year, like later on in the year.
I never saw that. I see him under indictment, but not going to jail. But he's always going to try some scheme. that it doesn't take a psychic to figure that one out.
Right. Thank
But
you so much, Jay Roberts. Um, well, and also too, he's not in very good health, so I think it's very likely he probably won't even be in the picture come 2024 presidential elections for entertainment purposes only.
yeah,
Not that we're
put
wishing
that in
harm
there,
on
by the way.
anybody, but yeah, I don't. I see his health being an issue. I think into next year.
All right.
All right. Well, I have a couple questions too, and if anybody's watching and wants to send a question, try to write it in all caps with a couple heart emojis. Um,
I'm laughing. Um, the noise you hear was um, the ghost of the house making a bowl of vanilla ice cream.
oh,
The vanilla ice cream ghost.
your husband getting some ice cream?
I suppose. I don't. I don't eat it.
Oh no.
Occasionally, because I'm, I gained a lot. I gained weight. I'm trying to take off.
Yeah.
I love ice cream, but I got to watch my cholesterol. So once in a blue moon, I'll have some. But
I love like ice cream, like after doing some yard work in the summertime when it's really hot, something to cool down a little bit, or an ice cold beer.
I like it for dessert.
Thank you so much, Catherine. Blessings. All right, so here we go. Patty Palmer, I think we're going to probably get a lot of midterm questions, but Patty Palmer asked John Fetterman, will he win the Senate race in Pennsylvania? I've always seen him winning.
Oh, good. I feel like yes as well.
Mm-hmm.
Good question, Patty. Also, Kate Hawkins says the DOJ said they have enough to indict Trump for obstruction of justice. Do you see indictments coming soon? Yes, yes, and yes. But I think Merrick Garland wants to wait until after the midterms.
Yeah.
Because if he did it before the midterms, they would say, oh, it was done to influence the election and blah, blah, blah. And, just for the record, a lot of people want to vote on the economy, and the Republicans are telling people, oh, the inflation, this and that. And people tend to vote more for economy than social issues. So the Democrats need to start speaking up and saying, look, here's what we're doing for the economy, and go on the offensive.
Yeah, I agree.
As much as I feel we're going to win, we could still easily lose this. It's not a done deal. And I've been saying for the past year and a half, my guides were telling me the Democrats had better start talking about economic issues and things like that if they want to win.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not being negative. It's just what my guides have shown me.
I've always felt that the Senate, I feel like is going to be pretty safe for Democrats. The House is the one that I feel like it's going to be pretty close. I still feel Democrats will win, but I feel like it's going to be a narrow majority. I think similar to what the seats count is.
I mean, I'm all about social issues, but you just can't assume that, a lot of Republican women will vote, I think, Democrat because of Roe v. Wade. But
yeah.
Still, you can't assume that because what happened with Roe v. Wade, the people are going to, they don't vote on those issues. They vote how the economy impacts them.
Yeah. Well, I'll just say a good sign is early voting turnout in the states that have started it is super high. I think Georgia, it's up to the 2020 presidential election levels. So I think that that's very promising. When there's high voter turnout, it normally.
And everybody get out and vote. I don't care if you have to crawl to the voting station. I don't care if you have to sit there for hours. Vote. Yeah. Because that's what will make or break this election. Don't sit on your laurels and think, oh, well, no, absolutely vote.
I feel a couple October surprises coming in that is going to benefit Democrats and really get people out and excited. But to the question again about Trump being indicted soon, I've been saying for the last couple months, I feel an indictment coming in very soon. I think it is getting probably a little too close to midterms now. I think Garland will probably decide to wait. That feels like it's shifted because I thought maybe it would happen before midterms, but yeah, an indictment for Trump is coming very soon.
Not to change the subject, but I was thinking of Iran. And I was talking to somebody who is a physician from there, and I said, "What's it
Mhm.
like to be gay there?" And that person said, "Punishable by death."
Yeah.
And when that happened, I had this flash in my head that I saw the people protesting more and more in the streets of Iran
Mhm.
and getting more violent. Uh, but I see that whole theocracy being overturned. And people are going to start protesting in Russia in numbers.
Mhm.
And Putin might try to turn troops against his own people, but then those troops would say, "No, we're not going to turn against our own people." And the same in Belarus. So
Mm.
people, I think are tired of these authoritarians. And going back to the midterms, the people here that say they want democracy and but they're the first to try to challenge gay rights, women's
Mhm.
rights, challenge everybody else's freedom
Right.
except what they want. And so, and then they say that they don't like communism. Well, hello, Putin's not a communist, but he's an authoritarian dictator.
Right.
And so, you know, so are a lot of these other people. So when some people here that are talking pro Putin, what they're saying to me is they're pro dictator, and that's
Mhm.
not democracy at
Yeah.
all.
Well, and I think a lot of Democrats and independents, I know typically people would go in um, to vote based on the economy, but I do think with all the social issues, going on right now, and even that, you know, I feel a lot of people coming out to vote for our democracy because it is so endangered. It's like every election, it's like, you tell people you need to make sure that you go out and vote because this is like the most important election of our lifetime. And it feels like every election cycle, our democracy is kind of on that um, like brink of collapse almost a little bit if these Republicans get in.
It's frightening. Well, the one
Yeah,
good thing is that, years ago people talked about voter apathy, and that's kind of going by the wayside. But everybody needs to vote
yeah.
seriously. Just don't assume because
Like
um,
I said, though, I think it's a wonderful sign that the voter turnout in the states that allow it, the early voting has been very high. So,
okay. Uh, well, somebody's Hescape wants to know about Great Britain again.
mm. We predicted that, Mel, about Liz Truss not being in there very long. 6 weeks.
We're right around Halloween. They're going to try another one, but if they put another conservative in, that person won't last long either. Because I see early voting there,
Yeah, me too.
and I see Parliament changing. So, okay, Jillian Fearing says Abbott, Texas, has been really quiet lately. Why? Because he thinks he's leading, and he doesn't
Mm.
have to say too much. Maybe his advisor told him to keep your mouth shut because every time you open it, you look like a goof.
Yeah, I kind of feel that too, but I also feel like Texas has always been one of those states that in Florida, Arizona, where I feel like some Republicans are um, up to no good, up to their old tricks. And so I feel like Abbott is feeling pretty confident that he's going to win. But I see the last few times I've read on Beto, he's got really really good cards where I feel like he has a good chance of taking it.
I mean, my feeling is Fetterman will win in Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's funny because that's the guy who had the stroke, right?
Yeah.
And they were saying the Republicans were saying he's weak, and they were his opponent was kind of making fun of him. I'm like, this guy had a stroke, and he's still running for
Mm.
governor. If the Republican guy had a stroke, he'd have given up a long time ago.
That
So
Republican, well, he's running against Oz, who's a loony, but especially like the governor, Mastriano.
Oz would just sell him some snake oil and say it's going to be okay.
I mean, he was at January 6th, Mastriano, and I definitely feel Shapiro a pretty comfortable lead in that race in winning. But yeah, I mean, these candidates that they've chosen are just so extreme, and I see it turning a lot of people off in a lot of these governor and Senate races.
Um, the governor of Maryland, who's the guy, the Democrat, he's going to win by a landslide. And I had a flash. I can't think of the guy's name. He's
Mhm.
amazing. Uh, but he's going to be president someday. You mark my words, and a lot sooner than later.
You said the Democrat running for Maryland governor?
That's correct.
I don't know who that is off the top of my head.
Let me look it up for you. Give me 1 second. Maryland. I heard the guy speak. He's amazing.
Yeah.
Um,
Very
you know,
kind of
he said the
charismatic. Are you
insurrectionists
getting
on-
Obama vibes?
He said the insurrectionists on January 6th, that's not democracy, that's insurrection. And they talk about democracy, that's not democracy, that's authoritarianism.
Yeah.
Now, I'm misquoting him, but the man's amazing. Hold on. I can tell you his name. He's way ahead. He's going to be president. Let's see. All right. Okay, so it's Westmore running against Dan Cox. Westmore is way out ahead, and he's going to be president someday. I'm telling you, that's Westmore.
Is he very well articulate and very charismatic?
Oh, he's amazingly smart, well articulated, and he's got like a charisma.
Mm-hmm.
I heard him speak, and I was just totally amazed at the guy.
Yeah.
So,
he looks pretty young still too, so I'm sure he has.
I think he's old enough to run for president. He had to be 35, but
yeah,
I'm telling you, he's going to be president at some point. Okay. Do you have a question, or you want me to go?
Well, we kind of talked about this a little bit already.
I don't see Boris Johnson. If he's coming back, he won't stay in long either.
No.
Because, that whole Brexit thing is blowing up. I mean, that was a nightmare. He said, let's do it, but it was poorly, it wasn't cost and trouble free. It brought their economy way down. It's, so no, it's not going to be Johnson.
Like I said, we talked about it earlier. I do feel like the conservatives will probably put another conservative, and I think it will be short-lived. I think this time it's going to be a man, but I don't think it's Boris coming back. I don't feel
probably why they'll have early elections.
But then, yeah, I do feel an early election too. I'm not exactly sure when their election's supposed to be, but I do feel the Liberal Party really taking over.
Perhaps the Queen is orchestrating it from the other side.
Yeah.
That's what I just picked that up actually. About getting some balance back in the UK. At some point, I see Parliament going more liberal.
Oh, I agree. Absolutely. Next election, definitely.
Well, I think they'll have early elections, but as I was saying, people are getting tired of that ultra-right conservative crap because look at the situation there. Look at where Trump put us economically. And the Republicans have the gall here to talk about inflation, this and that. This is a carryover from Trump. When Trump took office, our economy was good. When Obama took office after Bush, the economy was in shambles. And so
it's like Democrats have to clean up after Republican administrations.
And then the Republicans want to take credit for it.
Right. I mean, I think a lot of it's obviously global inflation because of the pandemic and, what's going on over in Ukraine. But
well, C. Torino asked, please look at the stock market. The latest consensus from leading banks is that the first quarter is when the real downturn happens. Well, there will be a downturn the first quarter. But here's the thing. You just don't panic. You sit on them and you hatch them out because there will be an upturn again.
I just read on this on Lori's channel on Tuesday. And I do feel like it is going to be a bit of a difficult winter for the economy, but I do feel like by next summer, I feel like it's starting to get really strong again. And I don't feel a total collapse or
no, a downturn doesn't mean a collapse.
Yeah, I'm not feeling that, but I definitely think inflation will probably be high for the next few months, and the economy won't be the best, but I see it turning around. It feels like next summer feels pretty good.
Well, actually, the inflation is coming down a bit.
A little bit, yeah.
So, I think behind closed doors, Biden was really mad at the Saudis or whoever
Oh yeah.
promised it. But yeah, that was done for political reasons because they want
Mhm.
the Republicans in. Because
Oh yeah.
they don't want the environmental controls because they want to keep selling their gas.
Well, and a lot of the inflation too is, it's just straight up price gouging from a lot of these grocery store and the food. Because even when we were seeing gas prices coming down, that should automatically help with the inflation, all of the transport of food, and we weren't really seeing a decrease in any of our grocery bills. So, I went to Giant Eagle the other day and got 3 or 4 bags of just a couple of groceries, and it cost me $75. It's a bit ridiculous. So I understand people are frustrated with it, but I do feel like next year it does feel like it's getting better.
Okay. Emmy J. Is Marco Rubio hurting since he got a beat down from Val Demings? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Remember when he made that speech and his throat was so dry and he's looking for water and he's trying
Uh-huh.
to do it now. Where's the water? Where's the water?
Yeah, I think that was our only debate. And before it happened, I had my show, and I just felt Val Demings was really going to be on top of it. She's so smart and articulate. I knew she was gonna really give it to him good.
Well,
And
to
I feel like she has
use the vernacular, he ain't seen nothing yet.
I feel like, the governor race, I'm not entirely sure about. I think that one's going to be really close in Florida, but I feel pretty good about Val Demings, surprisingly. I know Florida's trended pretty Republican, but I think she has a pretty good chance of taking that Senate seat from Rubio.
I think she will.
Mm.
Yay.
All right. Mama Bear asked, I'm not sure who this candidate is, but Mama Bear says, will Joe Kent win in Washington State? Trump endorsed him, and I believe he's running for Congress. I hope he doesn't win.
I feel a no with that. He's not going to win.
Yeah. Like I said, I haven't really heard of him. I feel like the district might be a red district, though. But
Yeah,
I think it'll be competitive.
I just don't see it.
All right.
I just don't feel it. I could be wrong. I just don't feel it.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see here. Constance Campbell, aloha. Would you please read on this question? Will meaningful and comprehensive voting rights legislation finally be passed in 2023? Well, if the Democrats take the House and the Senate, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
If not, within the next couple years. So,
yeah, I feel pretty good about voting right legislation getting done next year. I think that will be one of the top priorities. But like you said too, we can't get complacent too. We do have to go out and vote. Tell your family and friends, and if you need to drive people to the polls to vote, do it. We have to get people out to vote.
If you have to rent a bus to get them there, do it.
Yeah.
All
right.
Seriously.
Spiritual Seeker asked a good question. She says, can you please share with us something to look forward to in 2023, please?
Well, I see the economy getting better.
Mm-hmm.
I see it's within the next couple of years, things being codified, like R.V. Wade, gay marriage.
That came to me instantly. I'm going to throw a couple cards.
Within the next couple of years, the war in Ukraine are over, thank goodness.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to go on for quite a while. So, my guides are telling me we'll get through these troubled times.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more coming out about Trump and all of that, and indictments and all kinds of stuff. So, I think they were trying to wait till after the midterms because the thinking is then the January 6th commission wouldn't be around anymore. Well, they've got until January to do their stuff.
Yeah.
We've already handed over stuff to the DOJ. And in fact, behind closed doors, I see that Merrick Garland has hired people to start to be investigating the stuff that the January 6th commission handed over to the DOJ.
Mm. I agree with you, Mel. I feel pretty good about Roe v. Wade and gay marriage being codified legislation to pass that. Um, I think 2023. I I feel like it's not going to be the easiest year. I still feel like there's a lot of chaos and upheavals. I feel much better about 2024, but I do feel like a lot of us are going to really start to feel like justice is working and we're getting back on the right path. Because I see a lot of lawsuits for Trump and those around him, and even for a lot of Republicans. And I do feel like we'll have a sense of like, we're getting they're getting their karma. um, but I do see things, um, a lot of progressive changes and, a lot of truths being revealed. I do think that it's still going to be kind of heavy and chaotic a little bit like it has been the last few years, but 2024, I feel like feels really good.
But back to Constance's question, I do see a lot of comprehensive voting rights legislation finally passed that,
Hmm.
so some of these draconian voting laws based on the big lie that these states put in effect, it's going to be like, no, I see all that changed. So I'll be more fair. So good. And ultimately, I see different justices on the Supreme Court.
Oh, yes. I do feel like next year we will have I feel like there might be two justices stepping down, being replaced.
All right. Somebody asked about Katie Porter. I haven't looked at that yet. So,
I love Katie Porter. What was the question?
Kathy Price, just saw Katie Porter's cause of inflation chart. Why isn't the media putting it out there? What's the future of politics for Katie?
I don't know anything about this inflation report that she was talking about, but I do feel like Katie Porter definitely has a big career in politics. I feel like eventually she might be a senator, and maybe even some kind of Democratic cabinet member. Maybe I think she's has some education background, um, but I definitely feel like a big career for Katie
It
Porter.
says here she graduated from Yale and Harvard Law School. I mean, she's brilliant, obviously. She's in the House right now, but
I know. Jay Roberts said Katie Porter was explaining that it's not inflation, it's price gouging. So that must have been what she was.
I
Katie
got it.
Porter is really, really smart. And she definitely makes her point very well. So,
Well, I'm sure that she's right that there is a lot of price gouging going on.
oh,
I mean,
yeah.
my guides have shown me that since day one.
Yeah. That's
So
what a lot of it is. And a lot of it is to affect the midterms. So,
exactly. All
all
right.
right.
Let's see. Will Trump run for presidency? No.
I don't
If
see
he
it.
does, he won't win.
I don't see it.
He'll make up some conspiracy stuff.
Somebody asked, do we see
Somebody here, Oz Daniels replied, no.
I don't see it.
Right?
Do we see MTG getting reelected?
I'm sorry.
Do we see MTG getting reelected? I have read on it before, and Marcus Flowers, the Democrat, is great. That's running against her, but I feel like that district it's a solid red district. But I've always said if she gets reelected, which I think she may, I feel a lot of trouble for MTG. Where she won't be able to stay there very long. I feel jail time.
If she does get reelected, she's not going to finish out her term. She's going to be in a lot of trouble, and I see them linking her some way to January 6th.
Absolutely. Like I said, I feel like she may get some prison time, along with others.
Well, I see her under investigation, and I do see indictments handed down against her. So,
yeah, it's a shame because her opponent is really good, but I feel like it's too red of a district. It's not a competitive district where he.
But I think even some of them are tired of her.
No, I'm sure.
Okay, here's one from Oz Daniels again. Kanye West is buying a social media platform from Candace Owens and her husband. Will that be successful? Will the family win the lawsuit against them talking about George Floyd? My guides are telling me that Kanye West's social media platform will be about as successful as Donald Trump's news channel.
Yeah. It's interesting that last part of the question because as you read it, I got cold chills, which is I feel like definite yes. Like George Floyd's family will win that lawsuit against him. I didn't even know that they were suing Kanye.
I see them winning that lawsuit.
Yeah. Wow.
And I think that social media platform will last about as long as the snowball in Hades.
I
Um,
think what
Kanye West he's really screwing himself.
mm,
I mean, he can be for whoever he wants to be politically. I get that,
yeah.
but he's going about it the wrong ways.
Yeah, and I feel a lot of bad connections between him and other people where he's definitely there's a lot of deals behind the scenes. I feel like that those may be exposed at some point too, but um, you know, I've never been a fan of Kanye West, but he's definitely got
Well, a
some
lot of other people aren't now.
no. Yeah, and I feel like he may even have to go to get some kind of help like for some of his mental um issues that he's got going on. But I feel like he might even take like a step back out of the private eye and try to get some things together.
Hmm. I don't. Well, it whatever thing he's buying into is not looking good.
Yeah, it does not look good. All right, Mel. I have a question here.
Yep.
Um, what do you feel about gas prices? Do you feel like they're gonna go down soon?
Well, they'll come up a little bit more, but then I see them going down again.
Yeah,
I think the thing with the Saudis, that was clearly done to raise gas prices to get the Democrats out of office, and
yeah,
price gouging as well. But I see Biden releasing a lot of gas from the nation's oil reserves to bring
yeah.
down,
He's already announced he's gonna release some.
and that will bring down prices.
I feel like it might. I feel like they've came down a lot from where they were. I mean, here in Ohio, they were over $5 a gallon, and we're I think last time I checked, I think we were like 3.69 a
It's
gallon.
crazy. Some places, like you drive, like when I was going to Kentucky, gas was like
Mhm.
365. Other
Yeah,
places, it was like 450. And some of that's tax, but I don't. Tax shouldn't be that big of a discrepancy.
right.
That tells me that there's price gouging going on. I can't
Yeah,
see
I
it.
agree.
How can you explain $1 difference in a gallon of gas?
I
And
feel like gas prices are gonna still go up a little bit. I feel like that might be what I'm feeling going into the winter months too. But I do see them, um, you know, going down and being like where they were at before. I do feel like Biden and the Democrats will pass some stuff to stop a lot of the price gouging that's going on.
oh, I see too. I think so. Absolutely. I'm looking up something. Give me 1 second. I don't like to do this while we're talking, but thank goodness for the internet. uh, who I see being defeated is Tina Forte.
With that,
Tina Forte. I think Tina Ford or Forte. Um, um, she's a candidate for representative. She's Republican.
mm.
Um, but I see her defeated.
Where's she from?
Hold on, I'm looking. um, give me a second.
You're fine.
Um, oh, she's QAnon and all that stuff.
Mm.
Um, I wonder who's running against her. Um, let me see here. I'm trying to see what state she's from. Somebody asked a question about it, and I'm just saying I see her defeated. Give me 1 second.
You're okay.
Okay. New York's 14th congressional district.
Mm. Does it say who she's
I don't
running
see her
against?
winning at all.
Does it say who she's running against?
AOC, but I got to figure out. Oh, Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez.
Oh, I see AOC staying in.
So do I.
Yeah, I don't see her
Absolutely.
leaving. She's running.
AOC would be a good vice president at some point. I didn't say she would be. I'm just saying she will be. I'm saying she would be.
I definitely feel she's got a long career in politics. I feel like she may even one day be like Speaker of the House.
That's what I picked up. Something
Mhm.
huge like that.
Yeah, like Speaker. I don't feel President. Um, I don't know about VP. VP feels maybe more realistic than President, but I feel like maybe the Speaker of the House.
I see her way up there. And let me just ask. Let me ask that. Will AOC be Speaker of the House? Let me see. Well, I see her standing in front of a dais, talking, and I see her hitting a gavel. Let's just see here. Oh, the answer to that is yes, because I pulled the 7 of diamonds. So yay.
Oh, nice. I think she may actually at some point too take a run for the Senate seat and win that as well. I feel like a big career for
Well, she
AOC.
stays in the House and works up that way.
Yeah.
So I think she'll move up in the party very quickly.
Yeah.
And
Part of the new Democratic like younger leadership coming in.
you all heard it here first. AOC, Speaker of the House. I think within maybe 4 years.
Oh, you think 4 years? I feel like for me, I feel like it might be out there a little bit more. I had a really good feeling when Nancy Pelosi decides to retire of Jamie Raskin. I feel like he's a high contender. Even Eric Swalwell feels good to me too, but Jamie Raskin comes in really strong as maybe a possible next speaker.
I don't know. I see AOC there at some point.
At some point, I agree.
And a lot sooner than later.
All right.
Yay. They better hurry and do it. I'm 68. I don't have a long time to wait.
Right. I
You're
agree.
young yet. You could wait 30 years. I don't have that long. I'll be like 100. God,
I feel for me it feels like it might be like a decade out or maybe a little bit longer, but
10 years.
But I definitely see her as a big leader. You know, I said before, I feel like the Republican Party is going to fracture. I think at some point the Democratic Party is going to kind of go through it a little bit, not quite as much as the Republican Party, like total like rebranding, but you know, maybe some issues between the moderates and progressives. And I do feel like the new Democratic Party is going to be much more progressive. It will need to rebrand a little bit as well.
And much more outspoken and much more pro-democracy. Well, we are pro-democracy, but even more pro-democracy. But you're right about the Republican Party. I see it shattering, and it kind of already is.
It already is kind of. I feel after midterms, it's really going to get they're really going to turn on each other because I feel like it's affecting Republicans for the next few election cycles. I think it's going to take like a good 6 years for them to really kind of rebrand and get their stuff.
I've got a good question. This is good.
Yeah.
Susanna S. asks, this is really good. Hey, psychic dynamic duo.
Thank you.
Who's Batman and who's Robin? I don't know. Could you please look at the possibility that after the midterms, 89-year-old Senator Dianne Feinstein will be talked into finally retiring by Governor Newsom so I can appoint Katie Porter as a new senator from California? I do see her retiring.
I think she's going to be asked to retire. I'm not sure when she's up for re-election, but I do feel that coming in. I don't know. I think Katie Porter would be great, and maybe possibly one day, you know, maybe she'll make it to the Senate. But I don't think that her replacement will be Katie Porter. Not right now, anyway.
Yeah, but I do see Feinstein retired out.
Yeah, me too.
So, yay. You know, once again, Carol's asking about will a British Parliament be dissolved for early election? And the answer to that is yes. Absolutely yes. Without a doubt.
Kind of, just real quick, going back to the Dianne Feinstein, it's pretty sad because I do feel like there is some memory issues there, and I think she's done a lot of great work for Democrats. But at some point too, you know, you get up there in age, it's time for new, younger people to come in too.
Well, I guess the good news about Diane, she's been, wonderful in her career,
Yeah.
and she forgot more than most of us ever knew. If you think about it, she might be a little forgetful, but I don't think she's ready for the memory care unit just yet.
Not yet, but I think she does have some memory issues. I know her husband passed, I think, a couple years ago, and I think some of that weighs in on it too, that emotional loss. Um, but I think for her age, I think she gets a lot of work done for, I think she's what, 90? She's in her 90s.
I don't know. I see her resigning.
Yeah, I do too.
All right. Okay, so I'm just going through this. Jamie Johnson says, is Mount St. Helens getting ready to blow? I haven't heard any rumblings of that. No pun intended.
I'm not feeling anytime soon, although I do feel a volcano erupting in the next year or two. It feels like it's Alaska to me. It might be Washington, but like in the Pacific Northwest. But I don't think it's Mount St. Helens.
Okay, Beatrice. This is a good one from Beatrice. I can't pronounce your last name, Beatrice Moncrief. How does a conspiracy between the Saudis and Putin to escalate oil prices unfold in the near future? Will the free world be able to rein them in? The answer is the free world will be able to rein them in.
Mm-hmm.
And just somebody would just say to them, keep your oil.
Right. Well, I think they will actually at some point, because I do see them going to like Venezuela or Latin America and getting gas.
Well, Biden just did that. He signed a deal with Venezuela.
Did he just do that? Okay. And I feel like even helped to Europe as well. So I think actually the U.S. may actually stop selling some weapons to the Saudis and like that.
Well, actually, I think Biden signing that deal with Venezuela will help. But I just had my psychic light bulb go on.
Yeah.
What I'm seeing within the next 10 to 15 years is, a whole shift from oil-based economies to more green-based energy.
Oh yeah.
Electric vehicles, and it's starting in Ohio. They're building a factory to manufacture batteries for electric vehicles, and I see real changes coming in battery technology, so you can get batteries to go longer.
Yeah.
And with less of a charge. So
smaller. Did you say smaller batteries? Yeah, I agree.
Smaller batteries that'll go further.
I think it's about a decade out too before we're already kind of seeing electric vehicles and stuff, but before we make that big push and go more towards like that green economy, it feels like 5 to 10 years. 10 years feels like we're in a much better place with that.
But at some point, I'm seeing somebody coming up with an invention, almost like an alternator is to a car. Now, the alternator keeps your battery charged, where there's some kind of device that would, as it turns, it would continue to charge the car batteries, the electric car batteries. So it'll be self-charging. And then maybe every now and then you need a booster charge. So I see some real good inventions coming with that. It's good technology to invest in.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
I have a question here, Mel, and this is a good question. Have you heard about what happened to all the crabs in Alaska?
I haven't heard.
So they stopped the crab fishing season. They closed it for the year. That they're not doing it because the crab population dropped to like 80 or 90%.
Global warming. The water.
They were saying global warming, but there was also a report of China and Russian ships out towards Alaska where they do that. Did you pick up anything nefarious with that as well?
A little bit, but I think it's more because if they were Russian trawlers out there, they'd be able to catch them and say, "Wait, you can't do this." I think the bigger issue is global warming because Alaskan crabs, king crabs, like that cold water.
Yeah,
that water was warming up. That's what's going on, and clearly overfishing as well.
Yeah. Cindy says crabs went from like an 8 billion population to about a billion.
Um, I remember when I was in high school, they used to say, well, the oceans are unlimited. And I used to say, no, they're not.
Right.
Tell me no. And now look what's happening. We're
Mhm.
overfishing them, and that's dangerous as well. The bottom line is the population on the planet is just getting too big.
Yeah.
And
I,
so,
I pick up something with China and Russia, but I agree with you too. I feel like it might be actually like a good amount of both the warming of water but I do feel like there was some kind of something up with
yeah,
with
but that wouldn't account for the huge decrease
yeah,
in population. There has to be something ecologically going on. And
yeah,
climate change, which is really rapidly accelerating a lot more than what the scientists thought, is the culprit. And a lot
yeah,
of these viruses breaking loose, we're going to see
mm,
more and more of that because more of the rainforests are being torn down or stripped away. And there's viruses that have been there for thousands and thousands of years that are zoonotic. They jump from animals to humans. And so that's what I think COVID was exactly.
mm,
So we're going to see a lot more of that if we don't stop this nonsense. Like there's another Ebola outbreak in Africa, Sudan strain. I see them having it contained. And the vaccine, I think it's hitting Uganda. People don't panic. It'll be okay by the time we go to Uganda. Uh, but they're pretty much getting it contained there. And so I think they'll come up with a vaccine against that. But there are viruses out there that can make Ebola look like a gentle breeze.
mhm,
Ebola is 50% fatal.
yeah. Well, and think too. I mean, all the ice caps melting. Who's to say what kind of diseases or bacteria is in there? All the glaciers melting.
I'm more concerned about stripping away the rainforest.
Yeah, I
Okay.
see a massive push though to um, start working on planting more seeds and getting the Amazon rainforest kind of back a little bit. I
Well,
do
we
see
can't
that.
talk about them because look what we're doing to our forests.
No, right.
So there you have it.
But I definitely feel an effort going in to kind of get more trees in there and all of that.
I'm a child of the late 60s and early 70s, and that's when the environmental movement was in its heyday. And we were really
Mm,
strong about saving the environment. And then it just kind of got put by the wayside. And look what happened.
yeah.
All right. Linda Surmeyer wants to know, are we able to read about the safety of election poll workers during the midterms?
Mm.
Thank you from one of your biggest fans. That's nice, Linda. Thank you. Well, some people will be threatened and there might be some outbreaks. But if I were an election poll worker, I'd be sitting there thinking, bring it on,
Yeah.
because you ain't going to keep me away from voting. And I'm not going to let you keep other people away from their right to vote. That's
Yeah.
not right.
Well, and it's sad too because all of these crazies out there. I heard of that, and here in Ohio, that there's not enough poll workers for because they're all scared off because of all these conspiracy theorists. And I do agree with you. I do feel like there will be some issues. Um, I feel issues after the voting for a while. I do see some unrest there and the rioting and protests.
Well, if I were a poll worker, that wouldn't keep me away.
Yeah.
I'd be there like, nope, those threats aren't going to scare me off.
Well,
Because
and we talked earlier. It's just so
that's,
scary about our democracy being at stake because of all of these crazies out there. There's all these MAGA crazy
but hold
people.
on. That's how authoritarian dictators come to power. They do so
Yeah.
fear through intimidation.
Mm,
And if people are intimidated and afraid to go vote, or the poll workers are afraid to go work at the polls because of that intimidation, that's how authoritarian governments get started. We have to speak up and say, we are not going to be paralyzed by fear. It's not going to
yeah,
happen.
I agree.
My guides are talking right now. They're
Mhm.
strong. My guy Nicodemus is here, and he's like, yes. I mean, he comes through and it's strong. He's like,
Yeah.
do not be intimidated by fear. That's the message.
Yeah.
So, all right. Thank you, Nicodemus. That was cool. Not going to come back. All right. Jessica Saldiana Hello, and best and well wishes for both of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I have to sneeze, you'll have to forgive me.
You're fine.
What does the remainder of the hurricane season have in store for the U.S./Miami in particular? I felt the sneeze coming. I think it just left.
I do feel another hurricane coming in. I think Miami is going to be good though. It feels like this one's more in the Gulf. I've had a weird feeling about Texas coast with some hurricane issues. I know. I think we still have like a month of hurricane season, right?
A couple of months, but I see some of them whipping up through the Gulf. But this last one, the way Ian, boy, it came from the Atlantic and it crossed over into the Gulf and then it turned back. And
Yeah.
when they hit the Gulf, they become more ferocious because the Gulf is warm and it just fuels. But
Yeah.
you're right. There's more coming up through the Gulf. Absolutely.
You know, it's really interesting too. When I did my 2022 predictions, I saw Hurricane Ian coming in. Now, when I was seeing it, I think it changed its course a little bit. I definitely felt the Gulf side of Florida, but for me, it was more north, like the Panhandle. But I saw a lot of tornadoes with that storm, which I know it caused in Florida. But then I also saw a storm that hit like more of like the Atlantic South side, just like clipping it and then going up into the Carolinas. Now, it's kind of interesting because Ian went through Florida and then re-hit up in the Carolinas. So I'm wondering if maybe the energy changed a little bit.
No, I don't think so. I think you might be saying other hurricanes like
another one. Yeah. But I don't feel good about Texas Gulf Coast in that area.
I just see more hurricanes whipping up through the Gulf.
Yeah.
And Florida's going to get hit again.
Okay. Do you think Miami is going to be okay?
Well, there'll be some flooding, but it's not going to be as bad as Ian. It was a 4, I think.
I think Ian was probably the worst one for the season.
I think they go up to 5, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was pretty close to a 5.
Yeah, it was up there. Okay. JB, will the southern states have severe winter? Yes.
Yeah, I see it being really cold.
Last year there was an ice storm in Memphis, and I was without power for 6 days. We love our trees, but they create problems with ice storms. Well, it's not the trees because the branches break, but here again, climate change. And so I see more ice storms coming in the South. In Chicago, we're used to that.
Right. Yeah. Here in Ohio, like Cleveland too. It actually just snowed the other day here. It didn't stick. It was like sleet. But
that's how it used to be. Like years ago here in Chicago, when I first moved here, it would start getting cold in like October and snowing in October even. And then, November, December, but then, we'd have some major snowstorms and we wouldn't see the ground again until spring.
Right.
The past 20 years, there's been a warming, but
it's been much milder here in Ohio too. Last year we did have a couple bigger storms than what we had, but I mean, I agree with you. It's like a shorter winter season, but I do feel like this winter, for most of the U.S., I do think it's going to be very cold, and I do see a lot of snow coming in, especially in the northern half of the U.S.
When I was a kid growing up in Kentucky, we used to go sleigh riding every year. There was a big hill behind our house. In fact, I had a cousin. We used to take an old car hood and go sleigh riding on it. She broke her arm like that. But we always had snow every year. And, that's just not the way it is anymore in Kentucky. I remember every year when I was a kid, we looked forward to snow. And Christmas time, always snow usually.
Yeah.
But anyway. All right.
I like the first snow, and then after the first snow, I'm over it.
I like one good blizzard. One.
Yeah. After I have to shovel my driveway, I'm over it after that point. It's pretty to look at, or if I have to drive in it. But I'm good for like the first snow, and I like it to snow around Christmas, but I'm over it after that.
Luckily, we have landscapers that do that. But
that's nice.
Yeah, I ain't shoveling snow. But when I say blizzard, I mean like maybe a good 15, 16 inches.
Oh, no.
One.
I'll pass on
that. Except when we're all electric, so when the electricity goes out, that's not good.
Oh, yeah.
The office, because the office is gas. So either way, we could stay warm.
Mm-hmm. All right. Do we want to do one more question each? We're almost at an hour.
Yep. Okay. Virgo girl. I like that name. She must be a Virgo. You think? She's an Aries. All right. Hi, guys. Thanks for your valuable information. Do you think there will be violence after the election from election deniers? A little bit, but not like January 6th.
I don't see anything like January 6th happening, and I do think that the FBI and DOJ are going to be really watching a lot of it and catching a lot of it. But I do see some unrest and some. I do see some riots and all of that. All right, let's see. I want to end on a really good one. This is a good one. What do you feel about Deutsche Bank? I think that's how you say it.
No, it's pronounced Deutsche.
Okay.
Like the German, actually, what that means is German bank. The German word for German is Deutsch. So Deutsches Bank or Deutsche Bank is the genitive case. It's a German bank.
I got you. I think
German bank. I don't think they're going to fail, but
I see a big scandal coming up with that. And
well, it already is with them, with T-Rump defaulting on the loans and all of this and all of that, and so that's going to be under investigation. There's going to be, Deutsche Bank here as Linda Grindle calls as Douche's Bank. There's going to be indictments there too.
I feel
people are indicted because of the
funneling dark money from other countries to a lot of these places. I see big scandal coming up.
Well, some of the deals they cut with Russia.
Yeah.
So anyway, there you have it.
All right. Well, thanks, Mel. It's always fun to hang out with you.
Thank you.
I always look forward to our Thursday shows.
Me too.
Thank you. If anybody wants to get a reading with you, how do they get a hold of you?
They can call my office, 847-590-5411. Again, 847-590-5411. Or email me. Well, go to my website, www.meldoerr, MELDOERR.com.
Cool. And make sure to go over to Mel's channel and subscribe if you haven't already.
Thank you.
If anybody,
thumbs up, everybody, thumbs up.
Yes, thank you. Hit that thumbs up. If anybody like a reading or a Reiki session with me, you can email me at kevinlovingvibrations@gmail.com, or you can also text me at 440-376-4088. I have all of my information in the description box of these videos, okay? All right, Mel, next week, your channel?
Next week, my channel.
Perfect. All right, everyone. Sending you all a bunch of love and blessings, and I'll see you all soon.
Same time next week, my bat channel.
All right. Sounds good, Mel. All right. Bye, everyone.